Hello and welcome to Green Finance Focus, where we bring you in-depth conversations with some of the world's leading experts and prominent leaders in the decarbonization of the economy and the role finance plays in that transformation. My name is Dylan Degati, and I am currently an undergraduate student at Yale University and a member of the Yale Center for Business and the Environment. I'm here with a very special guest, Mr. Ryan Dings, a prominent leader in the fields of climate tech investing and entrepreneurship. Mr. Dings is currently a venture partner at the Climate Tech Fund under Connecticut Innovations. Mr. Dings is also the founding executive director of Climate Haven, an exciting climate tech incubator based in New Haven. He is an evolving partnership with CBAY and has been at the forefront of investing in cutting-edge solutions addressing climate change, serving as executive vice president and general counsel at the clean tech incubator Greentown Labs. So with that being said, hello, Mr. Dings, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Dylan, it is a pleasure to speak with you. That was a very nice overview of me. Very kind.
Very excited. So today I would like to get your thoughts on the role that emerging climate tech companies play in the transition to clean energy and other climate related issues. So to start off, can you start off by telling us more about your work as the founding executive director of Climate Haven and how you identify promising startups in the climate tech space?
Glad to. So I'm really, really excited for the work we're going to be doing at Climate Haven. Climate Haven is going to be rooted in New Haven. It's going to be based just a few blocks from campus. And we are going to build a community that is going to be focused on incubating promising climate tech startup companies that have the opportunity to scale their technologies and make a meaningful dent in this fight against climate change. The power of entrepreneurship and the reason why Climate Haven and all the great climate tech entrepreneurs right now that are out there can play such important role. The reason they're so powerful is because we do not have all the solutions that we need today in order to fully decarbonize our economy. This is not a matter of just kind of changing a habit or deciding, you know what, we don't want to emit billions of tons of carbon. We just want to stop. It's a matter of inventing new technologies in order to get us all the way to a fully decarbonized society. And it's a matter of deploying all of the technologies that are starting to emerge from laboratories and universities around the world and making sure we deploy those technologies as fast as we can in order to get to carbon neutrality, with doing as little damage to this one and only planet we have as possible. And so I'm really excited. Climate Haven is going to play a great role in that. There is a deep well of intellectual brilliance at Yale. Dylan, I don't need to tell you that, right? But there is this deep well of intellectual brilliance at Yale. And I, more I talk to folks at the university, the more I understand how many people there are that are passionate about climate and climate change. And so let's capture that. Let's capture that and let's create a community like Climate Haven that is going to focus on climate tech entrepreneurship and helping climate tech entrepreneurs scale their companies. Let's support them any way we can. And let's see if we can take all of these brilliant people and their great ideas and decarbonize our economy as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's super exciting. So when looking at these climate tech companies, what would make you choose to really support or invest more time in one company over another company?
Well, the beautiful answer, I'll give you a lawyerly answer to that question. It depends, right? It totally depends. So if you're thinking about it with your venture capital hat on, right? And venture capital is just one type of capital that you see in the climate tech space. You've got other types such as project finance and institutional capital, both debt and equity, that are playing a role. But we'll start with venture capital. If you think about venture capital, to me, I look out 20, 30, 40 years and I say, all right, if we actually do this, we're all going to be working for a climate company someday because we have to decarbonize the whole economy. Everybody has to do this. So we're all going to be part of a climate company someday. What are the companies that we can bet on today that are going to accelerate that transition, that are going to get us there faster, that are going to really solve problems? and help us figure out how to decarbonize, every single sector of the economy. So that's a long-winded way of saying the accelerants. We're looking to invest in the accelerants, the ones that are going to have a really meaningful impact on getting us to carbon neutrality faster. And it's those companies that, from a venture capitalist perspective, where you're taking really high cost capital and you want to put it behind fast growing enterprises, those are the companies as a venture capitalist that I want to invest in.
Yeah. So what are some of the quantitative and qualitative, qualities about those companies that you would see, and the best companies that have the most promise for the future?
So start with the qualitative. One of the things that you see in climate tech, there's no shortage of just passionate entrepreneurs that are out there with solutions. They've got solutions, and that's great. But here's the thing: you got to be solving a problem. And a lot of times I see those solutions out there hunting for a problem. The qualitative aspects of what we're looking for, we are looking for those problem-solving solutions, the ones that some sort of technology or some sort of advancement or some sort of new business model that's out there looking for that problem, but that goes directly to a problem. And if you have a technology that is going to clearly reduce carbon emissions and can do so in a cost-effective manner, well, then you're solving a fundamental problem. If you have a technology out there that is going to just make it easier for consumers to transact, with renewable energy, or with variable sources of energy, or think about buildings in a different way, as we, as buildings don't just become consumers of power, but they become participants in a clean energy economy as virtual power plants. If you're building companies that are dynamic and are truly out there solving problems, that's going to be critically important. Because what that does is that says to me or to my partners or to other investors that you've not only developed a technology, but you've developed a technology that has a commercial pathway, a way to attack the market and grow. And in venture capital, that's the name of the game. You've got to not just build a thing, but you got to build a thing that can grow and that can scale. And that's really important.
Yes, of course. So what are some of the biggest, challenges that these sort of companies encounter when they're first starting up? And maybe how does Climate Haven hope to address these challenges and help the companies overcome them so that we can see them achieve their full potential?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I want to be clear on this. Climate Haven is not designed to make entrepreneurship easy. No incubator is designed to make entrepreneurship easy. What I think we are trying to do is make it less hard. And we do that first and foremost. Our goal over the next number of years is to bring together the equipment and the resources in the physical space, the opportunities to be both in an office and a prototyping environment that will hopefully reduce some of the expenses that startups incur in the climate tech space. It can be a particularly acute issue for climate tech startups that are in the hardware space and that have pretty intensive research development or technology development that they need to do. When you're taking in venture capital dollars, the last thing you want to do is have that really expensive cost of capital go all the way down to capital expenditures. Honestly, it's often the last thing venture capitalists want to see. They don't want to see you take $1 million and go buy some really expensive piece of equipment that you may no longer need once you reach a certain technology milestone. They want to see you hire people. That's the human capital is one of the most important parts of these businesses. And so if we can incur the capital expenditures and bring together the equipment and resources startups need, it's incredibly helpful. It should make their venture capital dollars go farther. That's one very important way we help. Another is just with the type of people that we're going to bring to the table. Startups, as they kind of emerge and from a concept and become a company, they face a handful of key challenges. Number one, they need capital. Number two, they need to hire. And number three, they need to find those kind of early adopters, those first customers that maybe even start out as an opportunity to field test or a pilot, but then eventually become, one of those paying first customers. We want to build a network. We want to build programming. We want to build opportunities for startups to connect and go right at those kind of three problem areas. Bring capital to the table, and certainly my role as a partner of the Climate Tech Fund to Connect Innovations is helpful there. Build a community where we can connect startups with great candidates and folks who want to join their team. And of course, the entire university ecosystem is going to be really valuable in that regard. And then we want to bring in partners, and many of those are corporate partners who, although feel like incumbents right now, they could be the big carbon emitters. These are often first customers for many startups, and this is an opportunity to meet some of those customers and potentially find willing partners in those kind of pilots or kind of first projects to launch.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like you said, it's not Climate Haven's not trying to make they're not going to make the process necessarily easier, but they're trying their best to help. And it is a hard process, but I do believe having a great team and having a great network, having great people around you really is going to do more for you than, having a great machine that might not be so applicable in a few years from now. So it's great to have kind of that community at Climate Haven also through, Yale being so close and being such a big support. So it's very exciting to see. So you mentioned Connect Innovations, and you have other experience at Greentown Lab. So how have these experiences informed your current mindset and your work now through Climate Haven?
Well, I think fundamentally, and I think it informs, how I think not just about Climate Haven, but how I think about my own career. I've been in clean tech climate for almost 15 years at this point. As an entrepreneur, as an investor, as an operator of, very large climate incubator. And to me, if I think about this, climate change is one of the few issues, maybe the only issue out there, that in this century will unite moral imperative and economic opportunity. Here's something we should do. Let's not screw up our planet. Let's, for our kids, for your generation, Dylan, for generations to follow, let's make sure we make this one planet we have stronger. There's a moral imperative in doing that. And you know what? The transition from an extractive economy that we've spent the last 250 years building, that's pulling fossil fuels from the ground, to a regenerative economy that's going to take, recurring resources like the wind and the sun and the waters, waves. That transition from an extractive to regenerative economy is going to take multiple decades, 3 to 4 decades, and B, it's going to require trillions, likely hundreds of trillions of dollars of investment. That is the world's largest economic opportunity. Full stop. So why, if you're a young person at school, if you are a professional who's thinking about what is the highest and best value of my time, why would you not want to unite your moral imperative as humans that we have with the economic opportunity to participate in the decarbonization of our economy and prosper from it, and potentially be part of a company or be part of a fund or a firm or an organization that not only allows you to prosper, but gives you the opportunity to share that prosperity with others. I am I believe in the morality of it, but I'm also a bleeding heart capitalist. And, I want to find those opportunities and support those opportunities that, yes, fulfill that moral imperative. Yes, allow me to prosper individually, but ultimately just think about how I can help others and share that prosperity. And to me, this effort, decarbonizing our global economy, is the best opportunity to do that. I know it was a lot, but I hope that answers the question.
No, it definitely does. So after hearing that, I feel very inspired. I'm sure a lot of the viewers are also feeling very inspired. So what would be your, next steps, I guess, for someone who's watching this interview and someone who really has a great idea and has a problem to address and wants to get started with a startup that's related to climate tech, but doesn't really know where to start? What would be, given your experience and given all that you've seen, what would be your advice?
Start talking to others, right? And a lot of other people. Often entrepreneurs think that the idea is something like that they need to hide, and they just nurture over here or protect. Of course, you have to be mindful of not exposing your intellectual property to the world. But if you are interested in entrepreneurship and you are a student, or working as a postdoc in a lab, or you're in one of the amazing graduate schools at the university, whatever the case may be, there's an incredible support system of people who want to nurture and cultivate entrepreneurship. Start that conversation, and you're going to quickly find that those folks may, 1 or 2 degrees away, realize, what, this person needs to go talk to, one of the great resources at school, or actually this idea and this person is a little farther along. They should go talk to Ryan, because they're actually ready to take that idea and take it out of the lab or the classroom and bring it right into a place like Climate Haven. But I think the best thing you can do is just rely and look around, rely on those around you, and look around and find those people and start those conversations. It's amazing the network effects that can quickly happen, and open up opportunities for you to take that idea that is there and you're holding on to, and give it an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, I agree. It ties back again to surrounding yourself with great people and getting really, excited and motivated people who are willing to, make your dreams a reality.
Absolutely.
So do you envision Connecticut as the next Silicon Valley of sustainable finance and climate tech?
That's a good question. I don't know if you were to say Connecticut, I don't know if I'd answer yes, but here's what I would say. If you were to take a map of the Northeast, and if you were to grab a pen or a pencil and essentially draw an oval from Boston to New York City, you probably have the Fertile Crescent of climate tech, maybe globally, right? This area of the country has the human capital, it has the financial capital, it has now federal, state, and local policy. There is a general will amongst the people to address climate change. And you are in an area of a country, that oval from Boston to New York, that includes some of the oldest and most valuable real estate and infrastructure, not only in the US, but in the world. I mean, which makes it really hard to rent an apartment right now. And I'm sure you feel that pain, but that's a fact, right? And if you take all of those things together, what you have in this region, in my mind, I don't think it's hyperbole to say this, I truly believe it. You have this fertile crescent of climate tech. Silicon Valley, a long time ago, they were about hardware. Recently, the last 20, 25 years, it is, you can almost think of it as the kind of the cradle of the digital economy. And it's also, that's a long stretch from San Francisco all the way down to kind of the end of Silicon Valley. And, probably, maybe, double that size of that stretch, and you're just about talking from Boston to New York. And what amazing city and amazing university happens to be right smack dab in the center of that oval? That's Yale University and New Haven, Connecticut. And so I think of the university, I think of New Haven, and I think, why couldn't it be an anchor in this Fertile Crescent? And why couldn't this university be, one of kind of the key players in producing, some of the best climate entrepreneurs, some of the best climate financiers, some of the best climate policy experts, some of the best climate advocacy experts, some of the best climate workforce development and economists. All of these folks, there's, it's going to take more than just the entrepreneurs. And I do think that the university is going to play an essential role in being right in the middle of that fertile crescent. And I do think that this area, perhaps more than any other place globally, maybe there's some stretches in Europe that are equally successful in doing this, but like I really do think this area can be about moving those atoms, right? Just like Silicon Valley has been about moving those digits and moving those bits. I think we can move those atoms in a way and build an economy that is going to be unrivaled anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I certainly agree. It's something definitely to look forward to. That's super exciting. So to add on to that, what is your vision for the future of sustainable finance and climate tech? And it doesn't just have to be in, the area of the Northeast we just talked about, and kind of how do you see the industry evolving over the next decade?
It's going to require so much capital in order to do this. And, you read announcements in the newspaper, or I'm showing my age. You read announcements online about, new funds being launched, new investments. We are scratching the surface in terms of adoption of renewables, in terms of adoption of EVs, in terms of decarbonizing buildings, manufacturing, agriculture. And so in as much as we are making wonderful progress, the sheer volume of investment has to dramatically increase. And the diversity of investment has to increase in terms of the different types of investment. We talked briefly earlier about venture capital. Venture capital it's the most expensive type of capital out there. The cost could be 30, 35, 40%. That's your cost of capital when you're raising venture as an entrepreneur, right? And it's also that fuel that allows kind of early stage companies to grow. I mean, it's the cost of capital is so high because it's so risky. But what we're going to need to do is quickly supplement that venture capital with other forms of capital that are going to be equally sophisticated, but of different types and with different return profiles to meet the needs of those startups as they scale. An easy example is project finance. Project finance, has a cost of capital that's notably less. It is useful when you have technologies that have been sufficiently de-risked, such that institutional investors feel that they're more commoditized, and often the term is used that they're bankable. These technologies are now becoming bankable assets. And so that's a type of technology that can be deployed, that's a type of capital that can be deployed to invest in large solar projects or wind farms, or large green hydrogen facilities, or large geothermal plants. Hopefully as the technologies mature, large carbon capture facilities and other really cool operational facilities that are going to help us decarbonize. Product finance needs to grow dramatically, and it needs to be able and be ready to address all of the different technologies, not just solar farms or even on or offshore wind farms, but all the different technologies that are going to be out there. And it also needs to be a bit more flexible. A lot of times project finance only wants to invest in those type of technologies that really feel fully de-risked. And so some of those examples I gave, whether it's a geothermal plant or a carbon capture facility or a green hydrogen project, those first 1, 2, 3 projects may not feel fully de-risked for kind of traditional project finance to come in. So now you're looking at a new form of capital, kind of that early, riskier stage project finance. Maybe it's a hybrid between venture, traditional venture and traditional project finance. Maybe there are certain kind of debt or equity products that come in. Maybe it's venture debt coming in and playing a certain role. Growth capital is in there. And now suddenly I'm just like vomiting like different types of finance terms, but I use project finance as an example of another type of capital besides venture that you're going to need along the way. And also to demonstrate that it's not the only other type, but it's just one type that is going to be required on a journey from that first check from an angel investor to the moment where, you know, you have institutional capital trading, you know, public equities of the newest, you know, carbon capture company that's gone public. And the opportunities for folks like yourself and your peers and other students at Yale to become experts and really think about what it's going to take to finance all of this, to me, is as equally important as the entrepreneurs that are working the technology and the ideas. Why? Because climate finance has such a long way to go in order to evolve, to be ready to meet all of both the needs that these entrepreneurs have, and also the challenges that we're going to face in trying to put all of these different technologies together and get them to work. It's an enormous. It's a great opportunity. It's an enormous opportunity. And this, for those that are interested in finance, that's probably a different discussion, which I'm glad to have at any point in time. But it's one that is really, really compelling.
So there's a lot of work to be done, but definitely exciting work and things to look forward to in the future. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm super excited to see what's in store for the future.
Well, Dylan, very kind of you. Glad to do it. And I threw a lot at you in the last 25 minutes, 30 minutes or so. So hopefully we have an opportunity to drill in some of these topics and follow up very soon.
Of course. Thank you.